The Season 5 patch notes are here, and there's some pretty interesting things. Some big and some minor. For example, the goal cap is going from 500,000 to 1 million. So let's jump in and let's show you what we got. Let's talk about it. By the way, the PTR was delayed. Instead of coming today on Valentine's Day, it's actually going to be on the 15th. I don't know exactly what time. Now, I'm going to try and pick the most important things, because if we go through it all, as you can see, there is quite a lot. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description, but let's just talk about the main key issues. So the first thing they talk about are all the things that we already seen. So we know that the 10-man seasonal trial is happening. We have the new artifacts. We have the upgraded combat and the animation system, which is going to be very, very interesting. Mounts are going to Outpost Rush. The MSQ is being updated. There's native controller support. And then we jump into the actual notes. Quite a few little fixes to things that, you know, I didn't even know were broken. Fixing the issue impacting gatherable chests in the Unbound Island. Like, I didn't really know too much about these. There's quite a few chests. There's also quite a few fixes to some of the expeditions. Nothing really crazy here, but the one that I want to draw your attention to is this global mutator one. They're introducing a 0.25 second delay with the enflamed AoE mutator, which basically gives you time to dodge out of it. Okay, cool, good. Then there's a big change with Outpost Rush and the doors. That meta seems like it's going out. So they've added a 50% weakness for siege damage to the fort gates, meaning that siege weaponry, i.e. powder kegs, will deal bonus damage. They've actually reduced the amount of slash damage and strike damage that the doors take. So instead of it being like an absorption of 10 or 20%, it's now going to be 0, which means it's going to do more damage. So melee will do more damage than range to doors is the intent there. And also they've increased the build and repair time for fort gates by 25% for tier 2 and 50% for tier 3 gates. Basically, repairing the gates now is not going to be as strong. And I think this makes sense because at the minute, if somebody's like a proper Bob the Builder, they can just literally hold mid by themselves, and it's pretty crazy. All around, these are some very, very good changes, I think. Now, this next one they mentioned, I didn't sort of expect it to be happening now. They're changing the way that the equip load works. Now, I don't know off memory, and I'm not going to check because I'd have to load up the game and actually have a proper look, if there's any percentage changes here and what that means. But basically, instead of it being, I can't remember, the default is light and then you get buffs and debuffs if you're heavy or medium, but the medium is going to be the middle, the average starting point, and then heavy is going to have bonuses and weaknesses, and light's going to have bonuses and weaknesses. So medium is just going to be flat out 0. It's like your default 0, 0, 0, everything. Heavy though is going to decrease the incoming amount of CCs by 20%, increase your block stability by 15. However, you are going to do 15% less damage, and you're going to do 30% less outgoing healing. Whereas the light equip load, for example, is just going to do 15% more damage and 30% outgoing healing. Now, just a reminder, I don't know if this is a net gain or loss. I don't know the maths right now. Speaking onto right now, I just don't know. However, light, by the way, will have less block stability, and actually CC will last 10% longer, so pretty important. But again, I don't know what the net outcome of that is. Don't get too hung up on the values. I don't know. Could be huge, could be nothing. We have to wait and see. A lot of fixes just in a lot of different things. Fixed the in-combat indicator, fixed a lot of perks, fixed an issue where Keenly Jagged Bleed could stack up to 3 times if from different sources. A lot of fixes. They mentioned this in the video, but the amount of quests that you can track for artifacts are going from 5 to 10, which is good. There's a couple of fixes and changes to some weapon. I don't think Bloodlust is getting changed all that much, but you know, feel to correct me. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I will say that bow is having a change. Well, it's not really a change, it's a fix. If you were doing heavy attacks with the bow, it was counting as light attacks, which, do you remember when I was talking about the artifact yesterday? You may or not remember, but basically it was going to increase the damage of heavy attacks, or something only worked on heavy attacks. And I was like, oh, it might be good for the bow. And then people were like, well, not really, because they're often counted as light attacks. That should be fixed. So, you know, that opens that up. There's a lot of little changes, and I don't think anything here is completely crazy. I would say that the hatchet is getting some significant buffs. Just looks like buffs across the whole board. Damage is going up. Same kind of thing for the ice gauntlet as well. Nothing crazy with the life staff. Musket, I don't think any changes. Void gauntlet, a little bit of a buff. Warhammer, I think, is getting buffed as well, just a little bit. Obviously, these are very quick snap judgments. I don't want to go through every single note there. We'll have to wait and see when that actually hits live and we can, you know, feel the meta. A couple of changes to mounts. Well, actually quite a few changes to mounts, but one of the most interesting ones is that they've added a small grace period when you leave the road. So basically, if you accidentally leave a road, then it instantly goes off the speed bonus that you get. Now it won't go off for a little bit, and then it will go off. I sort of think they should add a transition where it goes like your speed gradually reduces, But okay, I'm happy with this. This is good enough. I'm not sure what this one means. Crafting a higher tier mount food now yields a higher currency reward. I don't really think I understand what that is. And then we get into the economy changes. Now this is where it starts getting a little bit spicy. There is so many changes to cooking that I'm not going to really fully explain everything, but basically if you had a food that was like Dex and Con, that's now going to be just a Dex food, and that's across the board. What's interesting is that some of the foods, the gathering and the crafting food, if you have lower tier stuff, that's actually getting upgraded to tier 5. So if you were smart and you bought all the old, armoring food or something like that dead cheap, then now that will be upgraded when you log in. So you'll have made a profit there. Probably no point doing that by the time you hear this, because it'll already have been done on pretty much every server. There are some recipe adjustments, which if I'm honest, I don't really know if that's going to affect too much. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. What's interesting also is that the recipes are now going to provide 3 meals instead of 1, but you're going to need more ingredients to sort of match that, and it's going to increase the XP because you're going to get like 3 times, which means you'll also benefit from the first craft bonus. So pretty interesting there. Recipe drop chances, I think, are going down. I don't really like that as a concept. They're like, people have already got them, let's just drop them. But what about people if there's like fresh start or anything like that? I don't know, it just doesn't seem good. Sorry, we can hear my child, by the way. She's laughing and she's in the bath, but I'm not going to tell her to be quiet, so it is what it is. They've also buffed the XP because there's going to be less recipes for the first craft bonus. Makes sense. This next bit is actually huge and I didn't realize it, and I'm a little bit annoyed by it personally because it means I'm going to lose 4 food. So the old values of the food was 40, 40, 48, and the banana pudding was 48. Now the banana pudding is now just 44, and actually this fried fish is going to be 48. Not delighted to see that because, well, I think this is going to be more expensive. So I don't know if that's the same for everything, or is it just Dex? It might, I don't know. I don't know if that's just Dex. Yeah, it says just Dex. Oh no, that's actually just an example of Dex. So they're all going to be like that. No wonder people want the fish. The fish is like back on the market. If you're a hardcore legendary fisherman, then go get out there and do that. This one I am quite happy to see. They've removed the legacy gypsum cast from the gypsum kiln. They were the ones that I think required like 4 or 5 orbs, and then you got an item. That item now is crap because everybody's pretty much like gear score 700. So they've actually just removed them. Pretty good. Good choice. You can now gather some music sheets that you weren't able to before. I know some people are going to be like, I want to collect them all. Well, no, you can. They've moved where some of the stuff is. So for example, gypsum have moved from a reward into a resource. Timeless shards have removed from a reward into a resource as well. Nothing huge there, but this next one is pretty interesting. They've just done it. The mad lads have just done it. Increased the player wallet cap from 500,000 to 1 million. Who wants to be a millionaire? Now I'm officially, if I put all my gold together, I'm not actually at 1 million gold, so need to sort myself out there. And then another big one straight away after that, artifacts now have a pity mechanic which guarantees that they will drop after a set number of kills, and this is to help with those who have extremely bad luck. Now these are obviously ones where it's like a boss in the open world or a dungeon or something like that. I don't know what the number is yet, but eventually if you kill it like 50 times or whatever the hell the number ends up being, you will now get an artifact. It's bad luck prevention, it's a good choice, I like it. It probably should have been there from the start. That's good, I think. I will say that the PvP track I don't think is included in that, but we'll get onto that in just a moment. So the PvP reward track is having its ranks completely changed. It doesn't really affect me. I'm still, level 200. That's because I do a lot of Outpost rush these days. And actually the gear score of the rewards are changing. So starting at recruit, you will actually get gear score 650. And then I'm assuming the higher up you go, the higher the gear score. Maybe, it doesn't actually say that, but maybe that's the case. They're also changing how you get the gear. So for example, the potion packs have replaced by recruitment packs in 0 to 19. And now you actually just pick up the consumables and the PvP craft mods directly from the track. So they're not going to be in the little, brown, I don't know what they're called, brown pouches or something like that. And as we were just talking about artifacts have had their appearance frequency increase, so they will just show up more often, which means, if you're trying to get one, you'll have to go through less levels to get it, in theory. I don't know if there's any bad luck, but that's still a good change. Now, coin, faction tokens and dark matter rewards have had their actual amount slightly decreased, but they're going to appear more often. So in theory, if you go through many levels, you'll be better off, but if you go through less levels, you'll get less. Gypsum orbs and mount attachments are down, and then they've added a couple of new ones, which I'm a little bit like, why would you add more? It's just going to be stuff I don't need. But there's faction dyes, which are interesting, some housing items, some rune glass materials. So if you're holding a lot of rune glass materials, that's going to affect the economy. A new level 65 tier 5 named items, armor and trinkets, just more named items, I think. And there's a new trinket as well, a new predator's trinket. I don't quite know why that's not just in the other section, but okay, it is what it is. Azov salt amount has been changed, so like things cost like appropriate values. And yeah, overall I think these are some potentially very positive changes. This one I find a little bit interesting. They have rebalanced the pre-expansion materia cost, and this is to help with leveling players gear themselves. Now I wonder if this is setting up fresh if we ever get console. I sort of just wonder if that's part of that plan. Heart runes now don't get crafted with pre-expansion materia, they now use dense materia. That's a good choice. The season 4 artifacts from the season pass are now going to be in certain bosses in the Elysian Wilds when season 5 actually comes out. And that's the major ones really. Like there's nothing, you know, completely game changing. It's not like they're adding so much content or anything like that, but some really good changes there. There's one that I missed, for example. There's a specific mob who's going to be back in Mirgard who's going to drop the weaponsmith hat. You know, I didn't mention that, I should have. There's loads of little things and it's always a little bit of a question like, what do I actually put in here? I think the bad luck mechanic, I think the gold cap increase, they are just good stuff. The bow getting fixed so the light attacks are actually heavies. That's a good time. That's about time that they did that as well. The legacy gypsum casts, yeah, they should have gone as well, and it's about time they've gone. The repair time for doors, pretty excited about that one, not gonna lie. Especially as we're getting mounts in there as well, it's gonna be really fascinating. Not overly thrilled by this food one, but you know, we'll see how that goes when we actually get into the game. What are the prices of this food? I've no idea. I'm sorry, I don't really know the impact of this equip load change. I'm being told that this actually might be a damage reduction for medium, which would be a little bit silly right now because medium is honestly quite weak in comparison to heavy. But you know, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know the full-on impact about this, so I need to get into the game. I need to see it. I need to see the numbers, and I don't have it to hand right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, though. Some really good stuff there, I think, overall in the main. Big shout out to my Patreons. I really need to update this list, and I really do apologise. And if you want to come and watch this tomorrow, I'll be playing it on the PTR tomorrow. I've got my controller ready. We're going to give it a good old college try, as they say. For now, have a beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.